Coach, fans are always hearing the words game plan. Let's talk about developing a game plan.
Yeah, it really took an interesting turn in 1995. Prior to 1995, both of us were young coaches at the time. Game planning was actually very random. When you look back now, it was very random. And then 1995, a coach named Brian Billick, he was the offense coordinator of the Vikings, later won a Super Bowl as head coach of the Ravens. He wrote a book, and the name of the book was Developing a Game Plan. It revolutionized the art of developing a game plan. And the whole principle was this, is that he took data and said, okay, during the course of a game, how many times is this situation going to take place? That number of situations has to correlate exactly to the amount of time coaches spend prepping it.
Sure.
And most importantly, the amount of time players practice it on the practice field. It's amazing that prior to this, it was just random.
You know, when Coach Billick introduced that to all of us, you know, it was one of those things where you said, that's pretty obvious. Why didn't we think of that long ago?
It became such a big part of the world I lived in for 17 years as a head coach. My seat in the offensive room was always right here. And then I wanted that chart and that I could see it. When I look up, I saw that chart. We lived by that chart. Let's take a look at it. This is for each team, offense and defense. So both sides of the ball use this. This is one team here. And you can see on the left column, that's the situation. The number there, that's the frequency of that situation occurs during the game. And you can see on the other side too. So you have two columns here that you are going to utilize for how much prep time the coaches use, how much time the players use, and then how many times you practice it on the field. So let's take a look at this. So P and 10, this is interesting, P and 10 and first and 10. And I'd get in arguments all the time because I think there's some coaches that go above and beyond it. So a coordinator brought this to me, I believe at Ohio State, and he said, we need to break up first and 10 and P and 10. I said, no, we're not. And he said, I'd like to. And I said, we're not. And he said, do you understand coordinator? Really interesting. Coordinators have a tendency on P and 10. P and 10 is possession and 10. It's after a punt, after a kickoff, after a turnover.
The first play of a possession.
When you're starting a possession. So teams average 12 possessions a game. Coordinators do have tendencies, and I was proven wrong. I think it was the first time, but I was proven wrong that they certainly do. So we broke down possession and 10 and first and 10. Then you're going to go to second down. We're not going to spend much time on that because actually we didn't spend much time on that in practice. The money downs are third down and red zone. Let's look at third down. Third down you break up into three categories. Short, 1 and 2 means third down 1 to 2 yards. That happens 3 times a game. Third and medium, 3 to 6 yards. That happens 5 times a game. And third and long, 7+. If you're having a good game, it shouldn't happen often, but it averages to 3 times a game. That's our third down, money down situation. Spend a lot of time on that in prep and in practice. Go over the right side and backed up. This is interesting. That's when the offense is backed up. You can lose a game there if you're not ready.
No doubt.
That averages, that's when you're coming out. See the -1, -10? That's the -1 yard to the -10 yard line. That happens twice a game. And then the red zone. You're in the red zone an average of 13 times, but we break it down high, low, and goal line. High red is a 20-yard line to the 13-yard line. That happens 5 times a game. Low red, 12 to 4, 5 times. And then goal line, that's inside the 3-yard lines, that's 3 times, for a total of 71 plays per game.
Let's go to first and 10. It's going to happen 19 times. How big is your menu? How many first down plays would you have?
So you always take the number of plays, and then you build in, that's Brian Billick's approach, is overage. So how many plays you have over it. First and 10 is a pretty big number. So that's more like when we talk about the openers, those were really our first down plays. So you remember you said we talked about scripting plays?
Right.
You really didn't list just first and 10. Those are your base play actions, your base runs, your base drop back passes or screens. The ones where you get into real categories are mostly that third down and the red zone. So first down, it's usually your openers and your best plays.
So let's look at third and short, 1 to 2 yards. Typically, how many plays would you get ready for third and shorts?
Excellent question. So you have it 3 times. You got to have at least 3.
Right.
And then you build in a 20% overage. Now, I would go a little heavier than that because that's the money. Third and short, you better get it. And you want to have something that you're practicing. So I would say we'd have, 6 third down and short calls on the menu if that situation came up.
And am I correct in saying before Coach Billick wrote that book, we really just had a bunch of third and shorts and a bunch of third and mediums, and there was no rhyme or reason to how many?
No, I look back in my career when I was working, I worked for great coaches, Lou Holtz, Earl Bruce, you know, I was around Woody Hayes, and we would often go out to practice and call plays. Think about that for a
No
minute,
script.
just how the world changed. So we'd go out and call plays, and you'd say, what's our third down and short? And if it happens, it happens.
Thanks, Coach Bill. Appreciate it.
Change the game.
Change the game.